It was 2 in the morning when Marcus Webb's phone rang. He jolted awake in his small apartment where his 8-year-old daughter, Emma, slept soundly in the next room. The number was unfamiliar. Most single fathers would have ignored it, but Marcus had learned that late-night calls could mean emergencies. His ex-wife had left 3 years ago, and since then he had been both mother and father to Emma. He answered with a groggy hello. The voice on the other end was panicked and breathless. A woman was speaking rapidly about a medical emergency. She mentioned Roosevelt Memorial Hospital and kept saying, "Please hurry." Marcus sat up straight, trying to make sense of her words. Then she said a name. Daniel Webb. Marcus froze. That was his father's name. His father, who had passed away 5 years ago. He tried to explain this to the woman, but she wasn't listening. She was crying now, saying that Daniel needed him and that he was asking for his son. Something in her voice made Marcus pause. Maybe she had the wrong number, but what if someone really needed help? What if there was another Daniel Webb and his family couldn't reach him? Marcus made a decision that would change everything. He called his neighbor Mrs. Chun, who had helped him countless times before. She came over within minutes, still in her bathrobe, to stay with Emma. Then Marcus drove through the empty streets toward Roosevelt Memorial. The hospital lobby was quiet except for the hum of fluorescent lights. He approached the front desk and explained about the call. The night nurse looked confused. She checked her computer and shook her head. There was no Daniel Webb registered. Marcus felt foolish now. He had rushed out in the middle of the night for a wrong number. But then a woman appeared from the hallway. She was in her early 30s with tears streaming down her face. When she saw Marcus, she stopped. "You came," she whispered. Marcus recognized her voice from the phone. "I think you called the wrong person," he said gently. She shook her head. "My father." She began, then paused to steady herself. "His name is Daniel Harrison, not Webb. I was so scared when I called. I must have mixed up the numbers in my panic." Marcus should have left then. His daughter was at home, and he had worked in 6 hours at the construction site. But something about this woman's desperation reminded him of his own struggles. The nights when Emma had been sick, and he had felt so alone. He asked if there was anything he could do. The woman, whose name was Claire, looked at him with disbelief. "Why would you help me?" she asked. "You don't even know us." Marcus thought about that question. Maybe it was because he knew what it felt like to face hard moments without support. He simply said, "Because someone would want to help my daughter if she needed it." Claire explained that her father had collapsed at home. He was stable now, but the doctors were running tests. Her mother had passed away 2 years ago, and Claire was an only child. She had been at the hospital for hours with no one to talk to. Marcus stayed. They sat in the waiting room and talked. Claire worked as a marketing director at a major company in the city. She had been so focused on her career that she hadn't realized how isolated she had become. She had colleagues, but no real friends. No one to call at 2 in the morning, except apparently the wrong number. Marcus told her about Emma, about working double shifts to make ends meet, about parent-teacher conferences and ballet recitals that he never missed, about learning to braid hair from YouTube videos. Claire listened, and for the first time that night she smiled. A doctor emerged around 4 in the morning. Daniel Harrison had suffered a minor stroke, but would recover with proper care and rest. Claire collapsed in relief. Marcus stayed until her father was moved to a room. Before he left, Claire asked for his number. "The right one this time," she said. Marcus gave it to her, thinking he would probably never hear from her again. But 3 days later his phone rang. It was Claire. She wanted to thank him properly. Could she take him and Emma to dinner? Marcus hesitated, but Emma, who had heard about the adventure, was excited to meet Claire. They met at a family restaurant that weekend. Claire brought a stuffed bear for Emma, who hugged it immediately. Over burgers and milkshakes, they talked like old friends. Claire visited Daniel regularly, and sometimes Marcus and Emma came along. Daniel was a kind man who told stories about his younger days that made Emma giggle. Months passed and something unexpected happened. Claire's company was looking for a construction supervisor for a major renovation project. She thought of Marcus. He interviewed, and his experience and honest character impressed everyone. He got the job with a salary that meant he wouldn't have to work double shifts anymore. Marcus was overwhelmed by the opportunity. But Claire insisted it wasn't charity. He was qualified, and she had simply opened a door. What he did with it was up to him, more than that though a genuine friendship had formed. Claire became part of their small family. She attended Emma's school play. She brought soup when Marcus caught the flu. She was there, and Marcus was there for her too. When Daniel had setbacks, Marcus drove Claire to the hospital. When she felt overwhelmed by work pressures, he listened. When she doubted herself, he reminded her of her strength. One evening, as they watched Emma play at the park, Claire turned to Marcus. "I called the wrong number that night," she said, "but somehow it was exactly the right one." Marcus nodded. Sometimes he thought the best things in life come from unexpected places, from moments when you choose kindness over convenience, from showing up even when you don't have to. That wrong call at 2 a.m. had connected two people who needed each other. A single father struggling to provide everything for his daughter, and a successful woman who had everything except someone to lean on. They had found family in the most unexpected way, and neither of them would ever be alone again. Emma ran up to them laughing and took both their hands. "Can we get ice cream?" she asked. They looked at each other and smiled. "Of course," they said together. As they walked toward the ice cream stand, Marcus thought about how one small choice had changed everything. He had answered the phone. He had shown up. And in doing so, he had found something more valuable than he ever imagined: connection, support, and a reminder that kindness always finds its way back to you. If this story touched your heart, please share, and subscribe for more stories about the power of human kindness. Leave a comment below telling us about a time when a stranger's kindness changed your day. We love hearing your stories. Retry.